Hello there, my name is PolishLynx and welcome again to Everlasting Summer. Well, for me it's a comeback because it's been a while since I've last recorded actually this game, but there are some new mods, and as on this series this won't have any influence in continuation because it will still be one after another. And it's not like we had some month or two of break. I had been playing that, but in uploading, nope. So on this new ending, okay, it was already played by me. Wintertale wasn't, so let's go with that one. I like the music. Oh, that's how the camp looked from the height. Well, it wasn't such a huge place after all. Wintertale. That's a nice introduction. Everything in this life has a beginning and an end. There would be no new life without death, and no joy of a long-awaited meeting without parting. Unless the universe itself... Unless the universe itself could break this rule at the very beginning, but we can't know this. Everything has its cause and a consequence. One thing leads to another. Motivation of our actions, their outcome, this invisible thread runs through our existence. What would have happened if I didn't? Ow! I was distracted from these existential thoughts by a heavy blow on the head. It hurts! I looked up and saw annoyed Xenia hanging over me. Daydreaming again? Huh? Can't I reflect upon my own thoughts? I replied resentfully. As much as you want, but please do it elsewhere. As if I'm bothering you. Just fancy. She set the glasses straight casually and stared out of the window. Xenia is always like this. Affected seriousness, excessive self-confidence, and belief in her rightness, desire to show that she knows everything better than others. I added after a moment of silence. Aren't you homesick? Why? She looked at me bewildered. Well, I am. You spent less than a week here. Yeah, right, but I didn't know what to say next and gave a deep sigh. You have something to miss then? Xenia made a serious face. Not really. Why then? Well, you see, I thought everything would be different here. Haven't you even ever been to camp before? No, I admit that honestly. Only on a sports camp, but well, never mind that. And what have you expected? Well, at this moment I heard the music calling pioneers for lunch. I was unspeakably happy about it, as I didn't know how to answer her question anyway. Shall we go? She smiled for the first time this day. Yeah, I answered absently. I stopped in the square. It's snowing. You know, I should drop by my tent. Go on. Okay. Tent? Xenia shrugged her shoulders and went to the canteen. Tent in the No, it's not summer. In the winter. I waited till she was out of sight, sat on the bench, buried my face in my hands and sighed in exhaustion. No, I definitely wasn't going to come back to the tent knowing that electronic was there. Electronic? You weren't in one... How do you call that thing? House. Let's call it a house. In the main game. These days I got sick of him blabbering about robots, cybernetics and science fiction. I was already willing to live on the street, provided that I wouldn't see his ever-smiling face anymore. It was absolutely obvious that not all of the tents were occupied, which means there were vacant places. But I simply couldn't dispute with Olga Dmitrievna when she launched me with this future luminary in Soviet science. Well, you should be lodged with Olga Dmitrievna after all. I have never been good at arguing. So I've been for already 7 days in this camp. 7 darned, needless, useless and pointless days. My initial fear and horror when I thought that I had died and gone to hell was forgotten by now. All silly theories of alien abduction, government experiments, or a time hole were forgotten. The chance to start my life anew, to forget the past, its mistakes and losses. I didn't feel euphoric about all this anymore. I was left with a rotten anthrax of the present and vague future which I believed would hardly ever come. I was surrounded by old, frayed, raged puppets of local inhabitants, pioneers and their leader. Who are they anyway? What are they? They are barely an excuse for a human being causing a compassionate smile or a wild grin, a misplaced grotesque touch to a picture of purgatory, wallowing in sins and vices, my last refugee in this life. Ow! I spitted in disgust and punched on the bench. I tried to spend all my free time in the library. Why not? In the end, it was the only place that reminded me of my old life. The same books that I once read, from Pushkin's and Andersen's tales to Sholokov's and Platonov's life stories of real men. Of course, here was no science fiction which I liked the most. Shekli, Żelazny, Heinlein, it's no surprise, as it turned out, in Soviet Russia, science fiction was written about you. Soft crackle of pages yellow from time, thick covers, worn books, and the scent of book dust which can't be confused with anything. I would have gone mad long ago without these common things, of which I once took no notice considering them quite ordinary. Maybe I'm in a book myself now, and everything that's going on was conceived by an unseen genius. Going on. By the way, what's actually going on? During these 7 days absolutely nothing has happened to me. Nothing. I've been eating, sleeping, reading, eating, sleeping. Could it be some serious psychological drama or a tragedy of an unwanted man? I grinned. There was something else in the library though. Something that made me rush there in a frosty morning before breakfast, making my way through snowdrifts and shivering with cold. Something I couldn't yet admit. Admit it now. No? Okay. The sun topped the horizon, giving out no warmth to the frozen camp. And just who hit on the idea of sending children here in winter? Surely it was nowhere near summer when I was pulled out of my past, but still. I tried to remember if camps actually worked in winter, but it was in vain. Snowflakes slowly fell on Genda's head, trees were covered by a white veil of snow and frozen puddles glinted in the sun beyond all bearing. A winter tale. Ideal, that's what I could have thought of this scenery in another situation. I stood up reluctantly and looked at the watch. I still had time before lunch. Cabbage soup, pasta and cutlet. The food didn't matter to me at all. May I? You look different. Where's your long hair? Well, then he actually looked different as well. Slipping at my foot, I looked up and saw Slavia. I know. I shrugged. Okay, now your hair is longer. How is it possible? Well, never mind. She sat down across from me and smiled. Oh crap, no, I didn't want to finalize the video now. Okay, after a stupid mistake, let's continue. She sat down across from me and smiled. Were you sad again? Why again? You are always sad. She put on a serious face. Am I? I answered absently. You are. Do you think no one notices? To tell the truth, I didn't care at all. Sorry. There's nothing to apologize to me for. She frowned. I'm trying what is best. I was about to say, leave me alone then, but restrained myself. Thanks for your care, I said indifferently. Do you, perhaps, want to have a talk? Not really. What did I have to talk to her about? You'll feel better. Are you a psychologist or something? I replied crossly. See, you are angry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I said, reverting to my normal state of apathy. Which means that I'm right. Yeah, undoubtedly. You are not listening to me. Exactly. See? I fully agree. Slavia took the tray and got up from the table in silence. I didn't even raise my head to follow her with my eyes. After all, I am not 5 years old and I am not a girl to play dolls. But you are acting like a child. I finished my lunch and headed back to the library. Here I am back, I've said with a yawn, but Xenia wasn't at her usual place. Hi there! Okay, you look different as well. Ulyan was sitting at the table. Why on earth are you here? It doesn't look like you can read at all. Ah, come on, she flared. Do you ever smile? No, I cut short. I did. For the last week I haven't had a chance to. How can you live like this? As you can see, I can somehow. To put it more precisely, I existed without much strain waiting for the end. You're such a bore. But you're much too cheerful. Everything's according to the conservation level law. The law of conservation of the detection. Uliana giggled. Alright, if you want to stay here, be quiet, don't disturb my reading. What are you reading? Books. Having made a face, I answered. This is so boring. It may be for children. Children are smarter than many grown-ups. She smirked. One can tell that. But please, grow wiser in silence. Okay. Xenia asked me to sit here till you come. You're here, so I'm off. She bounced out of the chair and hurried to the exit. Hang on, and where's Xenia? She's busy. What does it mean? During all this time that I've spent here, she was a willing prisoner of the library together with me. She's preparing for the evening. What's gonna happen this evening? Ulyan didn't answer, laughed and ran out into the street. What's gonna happen that evening? I stared at the door first time. Then I sat down and took the first book I found. Now I'm interested. What's gonna happen this evening? Come on! A Svet classic is, of course, a good thing, but I've never particularly liked it. Soon I became bored with it. I put the book aside, dropped my head on the table and closed my eyes. How much time is left for me? I wonder. I've already stopped asking myself about my whereabouts and why I'm exactly here and not in some other place. After all such a sudden change of the surroundings, if I could call it like that, hasn't altered neither for my attitude to life. Doesn't matter where to be depressed, if one could describe my condition this way. Being within 4 walls at home or boxed up in the office, being atop of a forbidding summit making the last part at the breaking point of one's abilities, or being in a heavenly valley chewing a grass blade blissfully. What does it matter now, if even this couldn't change my approach to life? I recalled what had happened a week, a month, a year ago. Lately, my old life often flashed before my eyes, merging into the and indiscreet motley blood. The palette was mainly black and white, for I wasn't scared. There was simply nothing to be scared of. There was nothing to remember, nothing to care of, nothing to strive for. Were the cause and circumstances of my death really that important? To die either of loneliness within 4 walls or in this strange camp of something else? To me it made no difference. Again! Xenia sighed. I raised my eyes and looked at her wearily. What else can I do? I answered with a forced smile. Aren't you sick of this yourself? Sick of what? Do you really like reading this much? I do. What's wrong with it? No, nothing. Maybe you should move here. She burst out laughing. Why? That's a great idea! I peered at her. It was hard to say what she was thinking of at one time or another. Perhaps we're somewhat alike, the same indestructible mask, only the pattern is different. It was either our similarity or something else that had influenced me so much over the last week. First, for knowledge, and reading surely wasn't the main reason why I was sitting in that library day and night. An awkward silence ensued. It had to be broken. Broken, smashed, annihilated, turned into an unison of merry voices. At least I wished for it at that moment, and I said, "Okay, you know, I love you." Awkward. The words were said in a calm voice, for my heart was beating wildly in the chest, as if it got tired of watching my despondency and decided to leap out and live his own life full of joy and happiness. She stared at me as if she saw a ghost. You're crazy! I didn't answer, just kept staring at her as if nothing had happened. Then he ran off from me and hid behind the bookcase. Are you serious? She spoke low so I could hardly make out the words. Yeah, why not? You're definitely crazy. I've suspected this for a long time. Why? Because you just can't. All of a sudden, you can't for no reason. Why? She didn't answer. Indeed, why have I said all this? What's the point? Even if I do have feelings for the girl, telling all this on the spur of the moment? She'll probably think I'm insane. Or rather, she already thinks so. I recalled all the time I spent here. All my memories were connected with her, whether they were good or bad. The library, books, Xenia. Why? I repeated my question. There was no answer. I looked out of the window. The night was falling on the ground. Yet another meaningless cold day was coming to an end. Xenia ran out from behind the bookcase. She was still blushing like she had been after my words. Here! She didn't finish the phrase and rushed to the library exit. Idiot! I stared blankly at the door slammed behind her. So then, something changed in my life, and not only over the last week. I must have committed an act that meaning of which I still can't perceive. Was there a meaning at all? What does the future hold for me? Why am I here to begin with? An act. Nothing of the kind. I laughed. An act. There was no such a word in my vocabulary. I laid my head on my arms again and closed my eyes. Oh, it's night. I felt about for the table lamp switch and pushed it with effort. The room lit up with a dim light which was enough for only a couple of meters. Alisa stood in front of me. Okay, her appearance changed as well a bit. Seems I've already seen her so many times. Of course we met at breakfast, even talked about something, that's not the point. It seems I saw her only the day before yesterday. It seems I've known her for already many years. It applies to everyone in this camp. The library, the canteen, the square, the bus stop of the damn route 410. I've become aware of the reality just recently, but I knew at heart that I'd seen that before. It couldn't be even called déjà vu. I'd rather look like an annoying desktop wallpaper, which one couldn't be bothered to change. You forgot about it long ago, forgot why you had set that wallpaper, forgot its meaning. One day you come upon it in the internet and try hard to remember where you've seen it, having forgotten completely that here it is on your desktop like an ace or... Are you sure I'd find you here? Alisa looked at me intently. It wasn't hard to guess. And what do you want from a humble civil servant, madame? She smiled. An extension cord should be here about. Why here? You'd better ask Xenia about it. I answered reluctantly. I tried, but she's not in here. Oh, in her right mind now, okay. No wonder. Now, why? I have no clue. Alisa shrugged her shoulders. She looks like she's seen a ghost. That's quite possible. I got up from the table with an effort. Wait a minute. During the week that I've spent in the camp, I've explored the library perfectly well. One could say I've become someone like an assistant librarian, so I had no problem finding the extension. While I was waiting to get it, Alisa turned on the lights. Here you are. Isn't there a longer one? There hardly is. I weighed up that chart was about 15 meters, no less. Alright, that's something at least. Alisa said and went out of the library. I had no desire to ask what she needed it for. In the end, if I don't pry into other people's affairs, they won't probably poke their noses in mine. I didn't want to read at all. I was just sitting and looking out of the window at the falling snow. There were no thoughts in my mind. I was completely appeased. Over this week I've experienced all kinds of emotions. Fear, despair, apathy, indifference, despair once again. Probably this palette lacked bright colors. Where would they come from, though? I looked at the watch. It was nearly 10 p.m. Looks like I've overslept dinner after all. Well, it is no wonder. In winter the days drag on slowly, but one has only to forget about it. To close one's eyes for just a moment and considerable amount of time is left out of your life. I sighed and made for the exit. What's the camp like in the summer, I wonder? In winter there's definitely nothing to do here, at least in the evening. I decide to come back in the tent and go to bed early. Look at Jenda. What's on his head? Okay, having reached the square, I didn't realize at first what was happening. A fire tree, garlands, Jenda wearing Father Frost's cap, pioneers bustling about. Hey! I called to Lena, running by me. She stopped and looked at me shyly. What's actually going on here? Well, it's New Year! She smiled faintly. New Year! A war could begin and come to an end, and I would miss it. But then it's no wonder. It's winter, and I don't know the exact date. There's a high possibility that today's December 31st. Oh, I see. I drawled. So, you're getting ready? We are. Well, it's good. Yeah. She was still looking at me as if she was trying to understand what I wanted from her. Well, good luck then. I was about to go out on, but suddenly Lena stopped me, pulling me slightly by the sleeve. Were you unaware of it? It slipped my mind somehow. I lied. Well, it seems she got even more confused. New Year is so exciting. I have no doubt. I replied sarcastically. Aren't you happy? Why, of course I am. That's good. Seems she hasn't caught my sarcasm. Will you, perhaps, help us? Help you? Who said I needed to? Just a week ago I lived my usual life in a familiar world, and then everything turned upside down. What is more, it's New Year here. I've never liked this holiday. But Lena was looking at me in such a way that I had to answer something. Well, okay, why not? I decided to help anyway. In the end, well, doesn't matter how to pass the time here, and this way I'll probably be able to relax a little. Thank you. Adorning the fire tree with ornaments, I went over the memories related to New Year in my mind. Didn't have any at all. Long ago, in my boyhood, I still remember that time. At the end of December, the anticipation of the holiday came. First scent of fire needles, motley glimmer of garlands, sweet tangerines, Russian salad, and the lemon pie, my mother's specialty. I always tried to fall asleep quickly so I could wake up earlier than others at 6 in the morning, sneak quietly to the fire tree and unwrap the presents. Transformers, Lego sets, ROM cartridges. So I expected all this from Father Frost back then, and he always brought exactly what I wished for, as if he could read my mind. And even if there was something else under the New Year's tree, I never got upset. A child's imagination would always find a use for anything. A plush bunny could be assigned to be Black Overlord ruling a teen soldier's horde, and a transformer could be a superhero saving the world. I just remember New Year's holidays, those 2 weeks when one could play, watch cartoons, and be stuffed with candies day and night. In fact, the fans didn't come solely to New Year's Eve, but lasted for about a month. But as time went by, the joy of New Year's anticipation vanished somewhere. Perhaps I matured, and so I already celebrated it not at home with my parents, but in a jolly crowd of close and not so close friends. My mother's pie gave place to champagne or something stiffer, The soldiers and construction sets to new devices and stock shirts and neckties. Father Frost was replaced by Mr. Yeltsin, then by Mr. Putin, and finally by Mr. Medvedev. But then friends and acquaintances all disappeared somewhere. I greeted a chim slouching over the display, competing with the same sad and lonely announce in who was to post the first message this year. And after all these changes in my life, I'm decorating the huge fire tree in the square of the weird camp together with weird strange pioneers, and at the same time I don't feel the coming of the holiday at all. I idly trifled with a small figure of Snow Maiden and stared at the star adoring the top of the tree. All those old Soviet ornaments, with which I adorned the fire tree at home, came back to my mind. They already survived several generations and looked shabby from time and merriment. Some were damaged, many of them paled, but some seemed almost new. The ornaments I was hanging on the branches at the moment looked brand new in comparison with these memories. These thoughts made me smile for the first time. Finally, we finished decorating the fire tree. I looked at the watch. The time was coming up to midnight. The square was packed with pioneers. They talked loudly, laughed, played snowballs. This sight caused a strange warmth spread inside me. I felt someone approach me from behind. I turned around and saw Xenia. She was blushing beet red, either from the frost or from confusion, but most likely because of all in one. You know, it's not what I wanted to say. You just... Seemed she was lost for words. Yes? Well, back then, were you serious? I remembered our recent conversation in the library. Was I serious indeed? Maybe I said all that to get rid of boredom, but this theory was definitely flawed. I peered at Xenia. I was. My voice sounded surprisingly calm. Then, well, I don't know. She stood with her head lowered without raising her eyes. New Year is coming soon. Yeah. Just a little time's left. Yeah. A traditional New Year's song started playing somewhere far off. Or was it playing in my head? Guys, are you ready? The leader's perky voice was heard. Pioneers responded, yeah! All together. All of a sudden, everyone was holding glass with some foaming liquid. I sniffed and determined it was douches. Beer soda, okay? Having realized this, I burst out laughing involuntarily. What's the matter? Xenia finally looked at me. No, he just... Let's see out the old year. I clinked glass with Xenia. She came closer. 10! The leader began to count down. I took Xenia's hand and peered at her. Okay, that looks nice. She flushed but smiled at the same time. 9! Everyone whom I got to know over such a short period of time spent here was standing beside me. I'm asking, where is Miku and where is Yulia? But, well, okay. And what was that? I don't need a backup now. On phone, sorry. Slavia and Lena on the left, Alisa and Juliana on the right. They also looked forward to New Year and counted down together with the leader. You know, maybe you're not that bad. 8! I'm trying. I laughed. 7! Maybe I was apassed by this festive mood. It happened for the first time for the past few years. 6! You know, I was confused. Serious. 5! I see. She looked me in the face and smiled. 4! I realized that perhaps it wasn't so bad. And why did I doubt the rightness of my actions in the library? Can it be too early for such things? Is there right and wrong time for this? One doesn't need much to express one's feelings, to tell about them to a dear person, and it's not worth looking for an excuse or waiting for an appropriate moment. I was sure I did right. And right now I just wanted to be here, to hold Xenia by the hand and to count down the seconds to the beginning of New Year together with the leader. In the end, I do have the right to enjoy the holiday. But let's face it, when that was read, she would actually finish the counting long time ago. What's going to happen next? Is it that important and worth worrying about? If I can't get rid of reflections that constantly eat me up, even for a moment. Perhaps it doesn't take much to change something. Suddenly I felt calm and warm. Free! Free, I shouted with everyone. There, you've smiled! Everything flows, nothing stands still. I just stood and waited for the beginning of New Year together with everyone. I didn't care about anything at that moment. I'll be happy, even if for a brief moment. And then this moment may extend over the years. The main thing is that I've made the first step. 2! So, next year everything is going to be better than this year, isn't it? 1! Sure thing, have no doubt. In the end, that which I've been searching for so long isn't somewhere far away now, not in another universe, but is right here beside me. I looked at Xenia and smiled. Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Happy New Year! But it's September actually. Whatever, September. Happy New Year's. Hobbit Games wishes you all a Happy New Year. Wait. Okay, Soviet Games. But wasn't that mod kind of put on Steam, not on Steam, oh my goodness, put on Steam not so long ago? Well, never mind that. Thank you for your New Year's wishes, Soviet Games. Happy New Year to everyone, whatever. Okay, this is the end of this story. And we still have one more I did not play and record. Okay, this one was played. Uliana's challenge, that's what we need to check, but that will happen in the next episode, so tomorrow. By then.